Hello, hello. We have a special guest this week, Michelle Gauthier. She's a life coach who turns chaos into calm. She helps busy, overwhelmed working women find peace and efficiency. She is the host of the Overwhelmed Working Woman podcast. She's also a single mom to two adopted kids, and she left a 20-year corporate job to pursue what she's now doing, which I believe is a very intentional, slow, peaceful life, and she's killing it. In this episode, we talk about how she went from living in mom guilt and this overwhelmed frenzy to feeling more at peace and relaxed and way more joyful. We talk about her to don't list and how to actually implement that into your life, as well as tips to create more space into your life. I personally loved this episode, and I know that you're going to walk away with some tangible tips on how to feel more calm and peaceful in your day-to-day life. So let's jump right in. Hi, I'm Sam, the inner voice and self-trust coach for women who refuse to choose between career success and being fully present with their kids. This is Journal Entries, where we break free from self-sabotage, reconnect with our inner wisdom, and feel truly fulfilled in everything we do. Let's dive in. Well, I'm so excited to have you with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Michelle, do you want to share a little bit about who you are and a little bit about your life and what you do?
Sure. Yes, like you, I am a single mom. I have two kids. They are 17 and 13, and I used to have a corporate job for about 20 years where I felt very stressed and overwhelmed all the time. I felt a ton of mom guilt. I felt like I was doing everything I was supposed to and had everything that I wanted in theory, but it just didn't feel good. And so I went on this self-exploration kind of journey to find out, what is it? Like, something just kept coming to me about, this is not right. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. So I will make like a, 2-year journey into one sentence here. But essentially what I figured out was that what was missing is that I was just running from place to place all the time, feeling frantic. So I was missing that calm part of my life, which I think is my default personality. And I had like whipped myself up into a frenzy. And I was really missing, for me personally, I missed being in service to people. And so what I ended up doing after I went through a divorce, therapy, coaching, yoga, prayer, you name it, I did every self-help thing there was. And they all work, by the way. And I came to the point where I became a life coach, and I help overwhelmed women, working women, just make their life just feel more calm and spacious. And like, I just went out and had such a lovely lunch right before we were recording this podcast. Went to this delicious place. I had a really healthy lunch that was amazing. I didn't feel rushed to get back because I already knew exactly what I had. You can make your life where you're still doing things that you want to do, but just not feel that crazy rush all the time.
You said the word frenzy, which I haven't heard that word in such a long time. But as soon as you said it, I was like, that is the word. That's like, I can
Yes.
picture it, you know?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, it was a
Yes.
frenzy. No more frenzy.
No more frenzy.
Yes.
So
If there's any frenzy in my life now, I know how to quickly get to the bottom of it and stop it.
yeah. And then you went into sharing like a little bit about your day, even about, the calm lunch and the things that you were doing before this. To me, that makes me think of like, okay, that's kind of like a to-do list, right? Of like the things that you are going
Yeah.
to be doing throughout the day. But I love the one concept that you have, which is the to-don't list. So could you
Yes.
first speak a little bit to like, do you even have a to-do list? And then how did you come up with the to-don't list and what is that?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Great question. Yes, I have a to-do list. Um, I'll talk more on that later. But the reason why I created the to don't list was because I found that I was redeciding things all the time. Like when someone would ask me, do you want to do this? Or I would consider doing something, I'd have to think, well, does that fit in this week or whatever? And I thought, I'm just going to make a list of all of the things that I just do not do. And then that way I'll just know, and I don't have to waste time making that decision over and over again. And I was totally inspired by my grandmother, who was like this tiny little, I don't know, boss lady. And there were just things that she just didn't do. She would just tell you she didn't do them. She didn't apologize. nothing. Like, for example, she always wore high heels, even if she was just hanging out in the house. She had on her little heels and she was always well dressed, but like she never cut the grass. She never put gas in her car. She just acted like she was unable to do those things. And it used to just crack me up because I'm like, so you could just say, I mean, my grandfather died. I had to like teach her how to put gas in her car because she didn't know how to do it because she was like, I don't do that. It's not for me. And so I thought, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make some stuff that's just not for me. And one of the examples is my kids go to their dad's house every other weekend. And when they would come home on Sundays, it's very, anyone who has shared custody can probably like shake their heads as I'm saying this, that it's a transition kind of day. It's just no matter what happened at either place, it's hard for kids to make that transition from one home to another home. And so I would try to make it like fun and, maybe make plans for us or make plans to go out to dinner with my parents or whatever. And I realized this is making it so much worse. And especially since they had been out of town all weekend, if we wanted to see my parents or my brother or something, that they would say, oh, you don't have your kids this weekend. Let's do something on Sunday night. And I realized it never works. It makes all of us more stressed and it's just not great. So now on my to-do list is I don't do anything on Sundays. We don't make plans on Sundays. And so that makes my life so easy because if someone says, do you want to get together on Sunday? I just know that the answer is no. That's just like our day that we don't do things with other people. And the good thing about having your own rules is you could change it. If someone special was in town and I wanted to make an exception, I could, but for the most part, I just don't have to think about it. So that is essentially why I created it. And I have it for all different areas of life. Like, for example, I don't wear uncomfortable clothes. I don't wear things that I don't like. I don't even own them anymore. But that helps you when you go shopping because I'll be like, oh, it feels a little pinchy or I don't love the material, but it's so cute. Nope, it's on the to don't list. I can't have this. I don't wear uncomfortable clothes, is
Yeah.
another example. For work wise, I have really specific boundaries. Like I don't work on the weekends. I don't work after 4 p.m. I don't see clients on Tuesdays. I have a certain number of clients. I'll get up to 15 and then I don't take any more clients. And I've created all of those as a reaction to when I do work late, that's when I get frazzled or frustrated or whatever. So I'm just creating them so I don't even have to think about them. And if I talk to someone and they really want to work with a life coach, but they only can see that person at 7 p.m., I'll just refer them to somebody else because it's not
Mhm.
me.
I was going to say, so it just feels so big to think of like, okay, what don't I want? But then you started to kind of say different areas of your life of like, okay, maybe work or fashion. So is that how you start to break it down, or is there a different way that you
Yes,
do it?
yes. So I would normally, like if I were starting with a client and they wanted to create this, I would just have them go take me through a typical day and tell me the parts that suck. Just tell me, like in the morning when you're trying to, get out in the morning and get your kids to school and get to work or whatever, like what's the hard part about that? Is there anything in there that we can just put on the to don't list? I actually don't have this on my to don't list, but maybe I need to add it because I used to get myself ready while my kids were getting ready for school. And I just don't do that anymore because it just made us all feel frantic. And I really didn't need to. Like I could do it before they got up or I could do it after most of the time with my work schedule. And so that just brought more calm to my house. And if you think about like the rule about not wearing uncomfortable clothes, that came from me spending time shopping and buying clothes and them just always hanging in my closet. And then when you go to get dressed in the morning, it's like you sort through and you just put on the same comfortable pants that you actually like every time. So I'm like, why don't I just cut this out of my life and make a rule against it? So it's almost going through the life that you have now from start to finish on a regular day and then thinking, where does this just not work for me? And is that something that I can never do? Can I just put that on the to don't list? Because, like, for example, another thing that I do for my kids in the morning is I make their breakfast. Sometimes that causes issues, but I'm not going to be like, okay, I'm not making breakfast. I still want to make breakfast for them, even though it can be a little stressful. But I don't make their lunches. So either they can make their
Mm.
own lunch and take it to school, or they always have money in their school accounts where they can buy school lunch. But I used to go to the hassle being like, what do you think you're going to want for lunch today? Okay, let me make it. And then I bring it back home and I clean out their little lunch things. And there was tons of food in there and it was a waste and they didn't want what I made or whatever. And I was like, I'm retiring from this job. I'm not making lunch anymore. And I know your son's little, but mine are old enough that I will get that my daughter likes to make her lunch and she knows she just puts the stuff she wants on our Alexa. And when I go grocery shopping, which is all online, I order from the Alexa list. So I will get anything that they put on the list. And so if she wants to make her lunch, she puts it on the list and then everything's there and she can make her own lunch.
I like that you go through the whole day and then ask yourself what sucks, because I feel like that could be a time where you question, why does it suck? And
Mm-hmm.
then you get to decide, do you want to cross it off completely or not compromise? I don't think that's the right word, but kind of like you do, like I'll make the breakfast, but lunch is off the table,
Yeah,
like, because,
yeah, exactly. Or decide to do, like my daughter takes horse lessons and the lesson is like 30 minutes, but the process of getting there, getting it all ready, riding the horse after, it's like a good 2 or 3 hour commitment. And I do not love it, but she loves it so much. And so even though I know that I don't enjoy it, it's not on my to don't list. In fact, it's on my to do list, but I'm choosing to do something that I don't particularly enjoy on purpose because I want to do it for my daughter. And that is so much better than being like, oh, I have to go to horse lessons. No, you don't have to, but you're choosing to, even though you don't love it. It's just a different approach to thinking about it.
mm-hmm. I'm curious if you do this or if you have your clients do this. Do you have them journal through any of this? Because I'm hearing this and I feel like it could be such a powerful part of the process to getting to the point where to like the end list that you have.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I personally love journaling. That's why I was so drawn to your podcast and the work that you do. I have some clients who are into journaling and some who aren't. So even if people aren't, I encourage them to jot down a few things. Like I might say, what about your week felt really good? Where were some of the wins? Or jot down some of the problem areas. But you're right. If you journaled on this for like a week every day, you'd have your to-don't list for sure by the end of the week.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I'm
you
almost
could,
starting to feel like too, there's a to-do list starting to form with
yeah,
with the horse lessons. It's like, all right, that is something that you are prioritizing, but you can like find a way to make it more joyful for you, like within that during the lesson,
yeah,
how can you make that more joyful too?
exactly, exactly. Which is a whole, secondary but powerful activity as well. But I feel like first you got to get out all the stuff that you just don't want to do. In my corporate job, that I had for a long time, as I mentioned, my job was all about, my title was simplification leader. And so my job was to make things simple. And one of the first things I would ask every time I would go and work with a new team was, what can we just stop doing? What can we just say we're not doing this anymore? And people would be like, well, we have to do this, we have to do that. And as we looked through it, of course, there's always things that you feel like you have to do that you don't actually have to do. So like I take this file from my desk to this other person's desk. Okay, what do they do with it? I don't know. I don't know what happens. Okay, let's stop doing that, for example. So that's just how my brain works. And I think if you take that approach first, get rid of all the stuff that you just aren't going to do or don't want to do anymore. And then you can start thinking about, okay, what does my to-do list look like? What does my week shape up like? What do I know that I'm going to be doing every week? Like my example about the kids putting their groceries on Alexa. And then I plan our meals because I know what we're going to be doing each night. And then every Sunday I order the groceries and I have all the groceries available, for Sunday night, Monday morning. And that's just like part of my to-do list. But it sort of hatched from the to-don't list of I'm tired of guessing and buying stuff and making your lunches and you not eating them and whatever.
So that I feel like just streamlines your whole week and your whole
Yeah.
day for sure, and makes life easier in that sense of like you get rid of a lot of stuff, even by that one to don't rule.
Yes, yes, exactly. A lot of just, it's all the rethinking. Like it's the
Mm,
waste in your mind. Your brain is spending time making decisions over and over and over again when you don't need to. You can just make it one time. It's so
hmm
efficient.
Yeah.
See, my brain still works like that. I can't
Yeah.
help it. That's just how I'm made. I'll tell you one interesting thing that came out of creating this, because as I'm saying things like, we're not going to do stuff on Sunday nights, and I'm really close to my parents, and if they haven't seen my kids all weekend and they want us to come over for dinner, I had a lot of thoughts about like, well, what are they going to think about that? What are my parents going to think about that? So as a result of the to don't list, I added the to don't. I don't worry about other people's opinions of my decisions.
Mm. Oh, I love that. So you tap
Yeah.
into like the emotional side and the
Yes.
judgments too
Yeah,
of,
exactly. And so it's really nice then when your brain offers a thought like, well, what are they going to think about that? I can just think, oh, wait, that's not on my to-do list to worry about
yeah.
what other people are going to think about. I just need to worry about what I think about it, what's best for
Mhm.
me and my immediate family. And then everything else is out of scope, not on my list of things to do.
I love that because then it comes in and you don't like ruminate on it. You're able to just like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not thinking about that. And you can release it just as fast as it came in.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
what if someone put on their to don't list, I'm not going to criticize myself when I look in the mirror in the morning when I'm
Mm.
getting ready. And that might be a good way to learn to stop doing that, because obviously those thoughts are coming into your head that's out of your control, but that doesn't mean they're true. And it's a good way to learn to notice your thoughts and say, like, oh, wait, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just going to let those
Mhm.
thoughts cruise on by. That's on my to don't list. I don't criticize myself, or I don't say mean things to myself in the mirror, or whatever it is.
Yeah. So as you are going through your day and making a list of what sucks, not just like mapping out your day and the activities, but also the thoughts of like, I hate looking at
Yeah.
myself in the mirror. I hate when I get to work and worry that all my coworkers are talking about me, like that sort of stuff too.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And like, if you think about in great detail about what you're doing from the time you wake up in the morning to even the time you sit down at work, there's so many little things. And that's where you might catch something like, then I go in my closet and I stare at all my clothes that I hate. And I put on like the one I hate least. And then I go look in the mirror and I'm going to put makeup on and I say mean things to myself, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
then you can find all those little places where your brain is just wasting time and energy on things that it just doesn't need to. And then we can free up our brains for all the fun things.
Mm-hmm. This is so good. So then bringing it back to like the to-do list and the fun things, is there any trick that you have to help people make the space for that? Because something that I notice with my clients is even if they have a free day, they fill it with,
Mm-hmm.
things that they feel like they need to do, but something that they constantly tell me that they want is to have more space in their day and to like have more like freedom throughout their days. So how would you go about creating a to-do list that allows for that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the first thing is separate from the to-do list and what you could fill in that time with, because we can always fill in time, right? Like there's always a closet that could be cleaned out or whatever it may be. But I think getting comfortable sitting in silence with yourself because I think that's the reason why we fill all that in, because we don't know what to do with the thoughts in our head. And I bet you have some great journal prompts around this very topic of what people could think about, and that it's okay to just do nothing, or even to just like lie on your couch and watch Emily in Paris. That's what I've been watching lately, season
So
4.
good.
It's so good.
I finished it.
Did you? It makes me want to
Yeah.
move to Paris. I'm like, oh, that outfit. I love it so
Yeah.
much. But I think a lot of times as women, we get socialized for two big things. One is you always have to be doing something for someone else. So, like doing things for your kids or your friends or making other people happy in some way. And then the other one is like our enoughness comes from our accomplishments. So, if you kind
Mm.
of layer on those two things, it's never going to be okay to sit on the couch. Like,
Yeah.
what am I accomplishing? I should be doing something. Should I be doing something for someone else? What is this person thinking about me right now? All those thoughts that can come up in our head. So I would say the first thing, because you could leave a big white space on your calendar, but unless you address that, you're not going to leave it white. You're going to like
Mm-hmm.
fill it in with some other stuff. But as
Mm-hmm.
for like efficiently planning the to-do list, the approach that I take and that I teach my clients, and actually I have a whole podcast episode on this very topic, is to write down first of all, you do block your calendar with all of your known appointments, horse lessons, all that kind of stuff. And then you can see how much time do I really have for anything else. For example, for me, like on Wednesdays, there's time for nothing else. So I just can't schedule in record a podcast or write a marketing email or, run to like I need to go to the license bureau today and re-register my car, that kind of stuff. And I just know that there's no space for that. And I think that's really helpful because a lot of times we'll just make a big to-do list, not considering the amount of time that we actually have to do it. So that's my first tip. And then look and see where you have white space. Write down everything that you have to do in priority order and then start slotting those into actual places. And then you can know, okay, I have 37 things on my to-do list, but this week I have time to do 6 of them. And I'm going to try to get those done. And then you don't have that guilt that comes from all the 31 or however many items you have left over at the end of the week. Like I didn't do anything. No, I did all 6 of the things that I put on my calendar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then do you suggest like pushing the rest off to the next week or just like starting fresh and they kind of fall off the list eventually?
Yeah, I personally start fresh the next week, but I keep
Mm-hmm.
those and I look and see, and sometimes they just become this is not happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And sometimes they get bumped up. It depends, it depends because like every fresh new week, I'm sure your business is like this too. It's like I have to write new emails and do new social media posts and new podcasts and whatever. So even though I did it last week, I still need to do those again. And they're probably going to be at the top of the priority list business wise.
Mm-hmm.
So there are so many fun ideas I have that I just haven't gotten to one
Yeah.
day. Although I don't really even hope for that because the reason why I can't is because I have clients and I'm spending my time the way that I want to. So maybe it's just
Right.
not something I can do right now.
Yeah. Yeah. One question that pops up for me is thinking back to that overwhelmed woman who's in the frenzy, and I just picture her like with tons of like her purse and her work bag and like all the things.
Mhm.
When she comes to you for coaching and for help, we talked about like the to don't list and all of that. Is there anything else or like a one main thing that she's coming to you for, like a certain aspect of her life that feels like out of control or anything that you find yourself like helping these women with a lot of the time?
Yeah, I would say overwhelm is the biggest word that I hear. And Brene Brown, I'm sure you totally know her work, but she defines overwhelm as it's not stress. A stressor is like one thing that you feel pressure on and that you need to get done. So I think stress can be even kind of good sometimes. So maybe if you're going to give a presentation or something, you might feel a little bit of stress about it. It's not that, it's the combination of many stressors that comes together. And it feels like it's just coming at you faster than your nervous system or your mind can process it. So I always picture like a fire hose, like life is coming at them like a fire hose, and they don't even know where to start. And so when they first come to me, I just let them have a place to tell me about that. What is it? What are all the things? And it's usually the perfect storm of kids, jobs, sometimes taking care of their parents, sometimes a volunteer cheer job that they have. Sometimes it's a toxic relationship with their boss or their husband or, whatever it may be. And so I just help them look at their life and stop judging themselves for being overwhelmed because of course you're overwhelmed. Look at all of this that you have. And then I just start helping them by changing their thoughts and changing their actions, just make little 1-degree turns. Like just say no to this one little, nope, I can't bring brownies for the bake sale. Okay, that's just one small action. That's not going to make you feel immediately better, but now you've said no. Now you know you can say no. See how that feels. Okay, now let's move to the next thing. I'm not going to double book myself for a meeting. Okay, there's a win. So it's just little step by little step, they
Mhm.
start to become, I wish unoverwhelmed was a word, but it's more like calm.
Yeah. I saw a phrase that said overwhelm to overflow. And I loved that. And I almost feel like that's the feeling that I get when thinking of your to don't list is like it creates this overflow of like potentially space and time and like
Yeah.
abundance of doing what you want to do because you're not spending time doing what you don't want to do.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you have that white space. And once you learn how to like live in an open spot on your calendar and think, okay, what do I want to do? Like this morning, I took like 20 minutes to water my plants. That sounds crazy. My old self would have like filled up 3 pitchers and sprinted around the house and gotten them all done. And I've just used 1 pitcher. I was purposefully doing it slowly because I think that's a great tip when you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed is to move slowly on purpose and like slow down. If you sprint from the kitchen to another room, you're saving like a millisecond to whatever
Right.
you're trying to hurry for. So just like walk at a slow pace. And I filled it up several times. I watered each one of my plants. My kids make fun of me because I talk to my plants. I'm like, you're doing great. You look amazing. And it was just nice because I had this space between when my kids left for school and when it was time for me to start getting ready. I was like, oh, I'm going to water my plants and just not be in a hurry. And it just feels so nice.
Mm. Have you ever heard of the rice experiment?
No.
No. So my sister has done this a few different times. And you cook rice and then you put it in a mason jar. You
Uh-huh.
actually split it up. You have two different mason jars. And then you talk to it. And you talk to one positively and you say like I love you and you're so bright and white and beautiful and all these positive things, and maybe even like put it in the sun, or no, I think you keep it in the same spot, so in the sunshine or on the counter, wherever. And then with the other mason jar you talk negatively to it, and so
Uh-huh.
you say like, ew, I don't like rice, you're so bland, anything negative that you can use, you
Yeah.
smell, all these things. And what happens when you keep it in the same exact spot, mold actually starts forming on the rice that you speak negatively to.
Gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
It
And she's,
makes so much sense. So your
yeah,
sister did it and it really worked?
yeah, she's done it at least twice, and both times she captured it on her phone and did it on Instagram stories on like a day by day, and you can see like moldy spots forming on the negativity one. Yeah, it's wild.
That
So it
makes so much
works.
sense to me. Okay, good. Well, I'm
Mhm.
just going to keep talking to my
Yeah.
plants. I feel like I want to encourage them. They're doing a great job. Why not?
Yeah, that's probably what I'm missing actually with my plants because I do not have a green thumb and I don't talk positively to them.
Yes, yes. You should be like, we're in this together. I'm
Yeah,
new at this. I'm trying to help you grow. Let's do this together. We got this.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Michelle, this has been so wonderful. The word that I think of when, like, from this conversation is just intentional. And I almost feel like I want to slow down, even like just talking to you. And like, I feel more at peace and it just feels nice. It feels like,
Oh,
like I
thank
can relax,
you.
you know?
That warms my
Yeah.
heart. Thank you so much. I'm happy that you feel in calm energy
Yes.
when you're with me. Thank you.
So, when my listeners want to go check you out, where can they find you?
They can go to my podcast, which is anywhere they listen to podcasts, called Overwhelmed Working Woman. And I release it every Monday because that's when I used to be most stressed out. And it's a quick episode with very specific things that you can do to feel less overwhelmed this week. So it's kind of bite-sized chunks. And then the other place is my website, which is michellegauthier.com. One thing I have on there that's fun is a quiz about how to stop feeling overwhelmed and like what's causing your overwhelm. So it asks you a bunch of questions, and then at the end it might say lack of boundaries is causing your overwhelm, and then it has a worksheet that you can work through. So that's kind of a fun one that people like to do too.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Michelle. This was amazing.
Oh, it was so much fun. I love what you're doing. I love what you're putting out in the world too.
Thanks for joining me for today's journal entry. If something resonated with you, I'd love to know about it. Screenshot this episode, share it on social media, and tag me at samantha.s.says. Or even leave a review, which will help more women find this podcast to create more fulfillment in their career and as a mom. And hey, if you're thinking, I wish I could get more of this, I've got you covered. Click on the link in the show notes, which I customize each week based on what we're talking about. And I always include the link to the Calm Mind Blueprint, which are my 5 journal prompts to go from overwhelm to inner peace in 2 to 10 minutes a day. Subscribe so that you catch my Thursday 5-minute journal with me episodes and next week's full episode where we will continue this journey together. I'll see you then.